think Mikey's deserving of the Manny Pacquiao fight. I'm not one to question the matchups or anything like that. I don't get political, but some of the fans feel that based off his performance is best that, a Manny Pacquiao fight coming off that wouldn't be justifiable. But how do you
Well,
see that?
I think Mikey Garcia is like what a four-division world champion, top 10 pound for pound fighter even today, has a huge following, a big fan base. So I think you can definitely make a case for that fight, and it's not so much about. Oh, he didn't win his last fight. So I mean, this is not. We moved on. Thank God we moved on from that in boxing. That it's not so much anymore about how many did you win, how many did you lose. It's about how exciting of a matchup that is. And I think any boxing fan you ask would have to agree that the matchup between Manny Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia would be an exciting matchup, and it would be a mega event. By the way, so would be Manny Pacquiao against the winner of Spence, and Manny Pacquiao against any of these guys is must-see TV. Manny Pacquiao against Danny Garcia. Shit, who wouldn't want to see that? That's the beauty of these welterweights, and that the beauty is that, as I said before, you can mix and match, and you really cannot come up with a bad matchup. You're gonna throw this other guy in there, right up there, Keith Thurman, when he's healed, which will be sometime next year, and who wouldn't want to see him back? I mean, this guy is never in a bad fight. You can put him and mix him in with any of those guys, and that's why it's sort of like for Crawford, it's like. You see what Spence has done on his resume, and you see what some of these other guys have done. It's just more than what Spence has done. But I don't want to knock Spence. Spence is a great fighter. He's absolutely is one of the best welterweights. But there are within the PBC umbrella just so many fights that can happen, which are just as good. Now, if they wouldn't be as good, it's a different story. But they're just as good, if not better.
Speaking of Spence, he wins the IBF title, he wins the WBC title. We all know that he wants Pacquiao next. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Now, if he can't get Pacquiao, will he be the A side in all the negotiations going forward, whether it's Pacquiao or Crawford or anyone else?
Well, first of all, everybody wants Pacquiao, and because he's the legend, we talked about that before. So we just have to see on how it plays out. But if you establish yourself as pound for pound the best fighter with back-to-back performances, assuming he wins against Sean Porter, coming off the win over Mikey Garcia, you're pound for pound the best fighter in the world. So you do want, so you do have leverage. You are the king of the hill. You're like Floyd. I mean, Floyd wasn't there overnight. He worked his way up, and he became the king of the hill. And Spence is on his way to become that king of the hill.
Changing topics a little bit. What do you think about this matchup that is being promoted on November 9th at the Staples Center between KSI and Paul Logan? Matchup that has nothing to do with
boxing. No, it doesn't really have anything to do with boxing. I think it's just it's a circus. It's a circus. It's a circus, and it might. I'm sure people are going to watch it. Whether the sport of boxing really gains out of it, I don't really see that, because it's not boxing. I mean, it's boxing and it's not boxing. So I don't really. I wish Eddie well with it. I don't have anything negative to say. I don't have anything positive to say. I'm not going to watch it because I'm not interested. So I couldn't really, frankly, I couldn't care less.
But just aside, the fight that Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao was talking about, that they had in China somewhere.
Yes.
Can you speak on that?
Well, I don't really know. I think the only guy who can really speak on that would be Floyd Mayweather. So I know as much as you do. I read it. I read these reports. I don't know what is true. I don't know what is not true. So I can't really. I mean, I'm not one. Just somebody asked me just now about that social media battle about these two social media stars. I don't like that. I like the pure boxing, and I think an exhibition is doesn't really do anything for me. But hey, if Lloyd, who's my friend, can get away and get a big payday, hey, more power to him. I love him for it, and the same is for Pacquiao. But I think Pacquiao at this point in his career I just have a sense, and that's my own opinion. I think Pacquiao still wants to challenge himself against the best, particularly after the performance he had in his last fight, where he really looked spectacular. So I don't think he is yet in the stage where I don't think he is yet in the senior tour stage. He is still competing at the elite, at the highest level, and wants to measure himself against these guys.
Hey Richard, I wanted to ask you another question, because there's also been a lot of buzz about a future fight between Errol Spence and possibly Canelo Alvarez. Do you see that fight ever happening, and do you think Errol Spence could beat Canelo?
Well, it's an interesting question. First of all, Canelo is moving up, but supposedly he's going to be moving down again, so I think he's going to compete in these different weight classes. I know it's difficult when you move up that much to move back down and lose the weight to be able to compete. If you fight at light heavyweight, to move back down to fight at middleweight, that's it's easier to gain the weight than lose the weight, as we all know. And so I think he might be sort of like that fight might be running away. Spence is at 47. Spence is a big 47 pounder, so there are definitely going to be opportunities for Spence at 54 as well. Again, the PBC has the best 54 pounders under the umbrella as well, so I think there are going to be some unbelievable matchups there with Spence and some of these 54 pounders. So he would have to pass those tests yet, and then who knows if he can go to middleweight. Maybe he can, but you're talking probably a couple years or so away from now, and who knows by then where Canelo is weight-wise and fight-wise. So I think it's sort of like one of those dream matchups, but to tell you the truth, I don't really see that happening.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, thank you guys.